I'd like to introduce my friend, Kaleikoa Ka'eo, professor at Maui College.
We good. Hey, Uncle Kenny. That's the guy follow right there. Uncle Kenny right there. Hey, stay. Okay, let me just. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. It's good. O ke kane hua vai akua ke nao kalina ka vai ho hulu ai. O ka huli o ka wo nua o pai ai ke au ka manapa. O he e au lo te po. O piha. O piha. O piha o te to o nua. Pa a kalani. O leva te au ya Kumulipo te po. Ana lai no hira ka papana ka mahine kana ka muli kana ka makalua he wahine o po ele halakama o vehi vehi no ho la ila no ya tane ana ha he wahine ana halika he wahine ana ha ke a he kane ana ka muki buga mu ke ku ne ne mo ku mo nu muli ana muli vale ana kane ka bu ikamuli ke ka mawe ka vahine ve pe ka ho ana ka me kane ke ha vi ka pika eki no ke mo ya ha ile kane ka ele o ha ile o tane ila Klai punia, peka po haku hai luku ya kana kani ka pahu ke wawa nei ka leo. Uhu kane moi mulia malu kana muli malia hako ai hak mahana mua. I mua ya lai. I mua ya ki kala wa kamahana ulani la. Puka. E ala wa malama wa ele kana ka ai luna wa kai wa ula ka ho kale. Nau i o ka puava uli puava ke a moa kane moa hi mai kina kau. Lele kalani. O au ke liu e ke aka. O ke aka no ia mai tahi tua tahi boi. Mai tahi tapa akare. E ia mai ka pule ka waiha ke akua. Nai a oe te atua. E ula no e amama ua noa. Aloha. Ka vile ana ia ukua pao a wau ne o Kaleikoa Ka'eo. E ke papa no i noka moko puni o Maui. Mahalo ia kalema me ka poe nane ho kele nei ke papahana. Mahalo ka okumo Uncle Kenny ma o. Noi ko mahalo ia oku apau ka ako ana mai ke yela ka holohi ane kia wahileo. Aloha. I'd like to thank Kale and the whole gang, everybody who put this all together. I'm actually a young man from Maui. Born and raised on the island of Maui, proud graduate of Baldwin High School, good public school. And I'm very happy to be invited and to share a little bit my ideas, my thoughts. I live with my wahine, Kolokeke, 3 kids in Waiahuli, Hawaiian homestead in Kula, the island of Maui, born and raised on that island. But I've been a resident for the last few months up at Puhuluhulu. I've been there usually 4 or 5 nights a week. I'm actually still a associate professor at UH Maui College. I've been teaching for quite a while. And I kind of reached back a little. I always joke, actually, before I came down, I just saw Dr. Keanu Sai. I just reached the Mauna as I was leaving. And a lot of people don't realize we have actually been kind of doing this for, decades. In fact, we first met in the late 80s at UH Manoa as students. At one time, this is a kind of funny joke, but at one time, the University of Hawaii paid us to go out and talk to young Hawaiians in the schools. We worked for a program back then called Operation Kua'ana, which was looking to recruit young Hawaiians into higher education. And so this is kind of how we kind of learn to go out and talk to people. And we used to actually work together, going out into our communities and schools to talk to young people about education and so forth. So for me, it's always kind of funny when I see Keanu, a real good close friend of mine. You know, as I say, to me, he's the most important political historian of our generation. And I love the fact what you see going on today. You know, and this is a lot of decades in work. And for myself, I always say, you know, I've been so blessed that I have great teachers in my life, to have been around many of those important names and faces who inspired me and taught me, walked with me. And so these kupuna, these so-called Hawaiian activists and others who taught me in many ways. So when I speak, I always say, and it'll be a long, long list to explain, but you know, what I share comes from all of those who put that seed in me. So for me, it's always been very clear. Education is the key to our liberation as a people. Education is the key. And when you look at the kind of scholarship that's going on, like Brother Donovan, and all those scholars that are out there today who have taken that kind of, see, I would say, I'm a good storyteller perhaps. These are the real deal historians you can see out there. You know, there was a time when we used to go out and talk about occupation, and people would look at us like, what the hell are you guys talking about? And the good news today, we have these scholars who can talk about things, and not just talk about them, but they use the documents and scholarship that go beyond even what is necessary many times to prove without a doubt. To prove, and I'm going to say this again, without a doubt, our history, the true history of these islands and its people, which affords us this right to this day to say to the world that we are human beings and we deserve to be treated such as human beings. And what makes us Kanaka? So I'm going to just freestyle. I'm not going to do any fancy PowerPoints today. Freestyle for about an hour, and hopefully at the end, any questions, comments, throw it in. And I kind of going to try connect to what's kind of going on today. When we talk about this reawakening that you see going on within our communities, it's part of a long history of struggle that has gone on. But in many ways, it's really no different, especially for Kanaka, that we've always kind of been this way also. So you can look at, even today, you hear people using the terms Aloha Aina or or Aloha Aina. Yeah, the word aloha, we all know, aloha, simply to love. But it's way more deeper than the English idea of love. Yeah, it's to have empathy, compassion. It's willing to give and share without expecting anything back. The love you may have, romantic. It might be especially the kind of greatest love you would have, a grandchild being loved by the grandparent, or a parent to their own children. That love in which you would do anything for the betterment and welfare of that other human being. See, that's true love. That's true aloha. Aloha is something you cannot pay $4.99 for. Aloha is something you cannot go pretend to do at some fancy hotel. Aloha is something that you're willing to give, because from the giving itself, that's what life is all about. Life, in fact, is the sense of giving. And so for our people, this is really at the core of who we are. And I will share this one story. I remember Uncle Eric Aina, one of my teachers from Miloli'i. And I was doing a talk somewhere, I can't remember, and after the talk, some elder person came by and he was trying to give me something, I think a necklace or something, but of high value. And I was like, oh no, I cannot take that. I cannot take it. And I just looked up, and Uncle Eddie just gave me the eye. He just looked at me. And I said, oh, I better take the gift then. So what did Uncle Eddie? He never did say nothing. He just looked. And sometimes you get that, And I took the gift. And he told me after, he goes, you know, Kaleikoa, you got to remember, what makes us Hawaiian is that we give. And when you stop other people from giving, you're actually stopping them from being a Kanaka. And so I always remember that lesson in how he saw really what makes us special in many ways. He said, yeah, we give. Sometimes we give. We give too much, it sounds like. But that's our nature. And I'm going to argue later on. That's a higher level of humanity and thinking that we all must remember. So let's go think about some meanings. Yeah, aloha. Aina. Yeah, the Tao means land. Well, we clearly know. You got to understand the meaning of where Aina comes from. Yeah? The basic meaning, that which feeds you, provides you life, sustenance. Then you look at the Polynesian meaning of the word Aina. The ancient meaning itself, coming from the word kainga. And for kainga, what does kainga mean in Polynesian languages? It's a familial relation, it's family. So you can see even in Polynesian, what we call land, or Aina, has a deeper meaning, which is of course family, the idea, the land itself. We have this familial relationship. In the same way you are of a family, in that same way you are of that land. So that teaches us something about how we saw who we are as Kanaka. We are of the land itself. Very different than the kind of meanings that have been imposed upon our people. And then the word oya'i'o, which means truth, to be genuine, real. And those words, aloha aina oya'i'o, were famous words that were spoken during the time of the so-called overthrow and the purported so-called annexation of the Hawaiian Islands. When our people called out to identify who we were as Kanaka, as aloha aina oi, the true lovers of the land, the meaning of patriotism. But think about how we said what a patriot was. A true patriot was that, in fact, you loved the land itself. So one of the things I always talk about today, real simply for me, what is the politics of today? How do we live and be like our kupuna? And I say, anytime we fight for the benefit of the water, or the land, or agricultural lands, or the ocean, or the reefs, you generally fight for our people. Because who were the first Kanaka? Who are the first Hawaiians? The Aina itself that we come from. So when you look at what's happening today, this rebirth in many ways, this remembering, this restoring of this identity of aloha aina oya'i'o is nothing new. All we're doing is journeying back to somewhere we've been before. And that's why it's been very easy to understand what is this about. And we must also understand in this context the kinds of struggles that are going on, especially in my island, whether we're fighting for the return of the waters into our streams that have been diverted for over 100 years in some places. On West Maui, you have 31 streams. 29 of them were fully diverted for decades. It's not a century. In fact, the only two that are not diverted is Makamaka'ole and Kahakuloa. Think about that environmental crime that has been going on. The death of the land, the death of the reef system. How many sea creatures and freshwater creatures, not even counting our rights as a people. That environmental crime is something that continues on to this day. So one of the things I always tell people, when you think about, and I get this struggle sometimes even with so-called environmentalists who worried about changing light bulbs and sometimes, getting the cans, which is all important. But if you're not talking about putting the water back in the streams, you're talking superficial stuff. if you're not really talking about returning the water, or laikawai, which is life, then you're really not talking about protecting the environment. It might make you feel good in some very superficial way in the things you're doing. But if you're not involved in the politics to protect our agricultural lands, for example, which have been grabbed and taken by these transnational, multinational corporations like Monsanto and others, who come to Maui, who come to Hawaii. Hawaii is the largest open field testing for these industrial, so-called agriculturalist chemical corporations. And only recently, they finally admitted, yes, they were poisoning us, and they knew it. And of course, the politicians like Ross Baker from Maui, Senator Ross Baker, go, oh, if I only knew. Yeah, your hand was out for far too long, and you always knew. The people told you over and over. What kind of degradation and damage has already been done to those soils, to the water sources, to the reef system? What kind of damages are going to happen to our kids and grandkids in the future? So for me, it's always been clear when I talk about politics of the land, for me, it's very clear to me who we're fighting for, which is us ourselves, the people of this land. But where does this come from? We can start with one of our great cosmogonies, Kumulipo, written centuries ago, a compilation. It's a song, it's a genealogy, it's history, the mythology, Mameli's poetry. And it was written actually for an ali'i that was born on this island. Kalani Nui Ia Mamau, who's the father of Kalani Opu'u, also known as Lonika Makahiki. And upon his birth, they chant this great poem, this great song, which takes about 3 hours actually to perform. And they don't just talk about whose his parents were. They don't just talk about his grandparents. But see, I want you guys to understand in the Hawaiian consciousness, where do we begin as a people? They start in the beginning itself. O ke au I kahuli vela kahonua. O ke au I kahuli lo le kalani. These are the opening lines of the Kumulipo. O ke au I kahuli. Ke au, au. The word au means time, like epoch or ages, ao. The word ao also means like space, like outer space, ao. Time, space, space, time. Where have you heard that before? Where have you heard that before? Space, time, space. Well, Star Trek for sure. See all the Trekkies out there. But who made that supposed discovery, this idea? Space-time. Who was saying it? I heard it back there. Yeah, Kanaka did, but who else is a famous word? Einstein, exactly. They tell us Einstein came up with this idea of space-time, time-space. Kalamai, Mr. Einstein. Our people already understood the connection between time and space. We have another definition. The word ao also means to flow like a current. But think in the Hawaiian idea, time and space is flowing. In fact, the word ao also means I. I, the universe I. Kahuli, and it starts to turn. O ke au I kahuli, like huli chicken, kahuli. Everybody know kahuli. But think about time, space, starts to. This is the opening lines of the Kumulipo. And they tell us, the supposed scientists tell us, that Hawaiian culture is fighting against science. What foolishness. Our culture is based upon, not just our culture, our genealogy is based upon scientific principles. You want to challenge cosmogonies? You want to put your cosmology against ours and talk about science? But if you don't know your history, you don't know your story and language, you go, oh yeah, these Hawaiian culture guys fighting against science. Not understanding the principles of our culture, our history, genealogies, all science. Our first line is scientific. Everybody get his hands out. Clap them together real hard. Clap them. Rub them real hard together. Rub them. Rub as hard as you can. What happened? Heat. Okay, awi kahuli. Vela tahonua. The word vela. Hot. What is heat? What is it? Energy. What is energy? Man, what is energy? Where do you find energy? Right? I want you guys to think though. Son, how about this t-shirt? How about the chair? In fact, what you find, what is energy? Everything is energy. I want you guys to remember this. Everything. Everything, this table, my hat, my bald head, my shoes, you and me, is all energy. Before anything becomes in the Kumulipo, our people already understood energy is the source of what? Everything. There is nothing until energy exists. This is still the first line of the Kumulipo. And they tell us we anti-science? See, I want you guys to understand this. They say those kinds of things. One, because many of us have been miseducated, uneducated, decultured to somehow believe, yeah, these guys know what they're talking about. And second, they are sickened with this holy supremacy mentality that somehow they know and we don't. We are the so-called savages while they are the so-called enlightened ones. But I'm sorry to let them know that is not true. Long before Einstein, long before many of them even came up with the idea that the earth was round, that our people already knew, we understood these principles of science way before then. So what kind of audacity? How do they come up with that idea that somehow they should judge us? Only the first line. And I got to keep on going because if not, I get stuck in the Kumulipo. That's a whole other lecture I can do for an hour. But even just the first word, I'm going to skip. Light shines and then it comes down. And you start to have the first life forms that appear. And our kupuna talked about the first life. And all life begins where on this planet? Where does life begin on this planet? The ocean. And our kupuna understood that. There was no Garden of Eden. That's not our story. Ours is based scientifically. Our kupuna already knew life began from the ocean. And they talk about us as if we're ignorant and savages. Oh, kane wailoli, oh, kavahini wailola, is a particular refrain. Every time a new life form appears, talk about its male essence and its female essence. Male is being compared to like this narrow channeling of water. Female is this broad movement of water, but it's real clear. It's not saying one is stronger than the other at all. They express themselves in different ways, but what happens when you put the male and female together, you think? Oh boy, there we go. Huh? Oh, watch out, the magic is coming. And different life form appears in a sexual reproduction manner. And it starts to talk about these refrains over. O ke akua ke komo a oi komo kanaka. Every time a new life form appears. And they start off with the most simplest. And they slowly start to evolve to higher life forms. Now they talk about this guy in Europe, the late 1800s, the big superstar of science, went to the Galapagos, and he discovered evolution, natural selection. I'm sorry to you, Brother Darwin. Way before you ever walked and breathed one breath of air on this planet, our people already understood evolution. And they tell us their culture is scientifically based. So what you guys to understand, this is a sickness that they have that constantly makes them think that they know better than everybody else. Our people already understood the principles of natural selection and evolution way before Darwin ever walked upon this planet. That's our culture. That's our history. O kia kua ke komo a oi komo kanaka. But Hawaiians add something even more beautiful and valuable. When each life form appears, it says Akua, the divine God-like being. Ke Akua. Doesn't name Akua, just says Ke Akua. Ke Komo. Akua enters. Again, this is poetry, remember. Aoi Komo Kanaka. Kanaka don't enter. And the two interpretations is during this period of time, this is the time when the divine is present. And humans are not. But as I was taught also, in true Hawaiian fashion we call kauna, we have all these multiple meanings and hidden meanings. Every time a new life form appears, it says, Akua enters, not human. And it's this sense that every life form has Akua. In the Hawaiian version, that's mana. Everything has divinity within it. But think about that. As a worldview, what is the tree to us? The bird, the fish. But all expressions of divinity itself. Everything around us is godly in a sense. That's a very different worldview. Now let's go. I'm not here to offend anybody, but let's compare it to a Judeo-Christian worldview. We can look at Genesis. In Genesis, right, God works for, well, first he speaks out, creates the world. He works for how many days? No, he doesn't work for 7. He works for 6, remember. Takes a break on the 7th. Yeah? Creates what's called the Garden of Eden. Yeah? All the life forms. You can already see, very different story. Creates Adam. Creates Eve, right? The rib of Adam. But what does he do with Adam? He says, in fact, man shall have, what is man given? Dominion. Say it loud. Dominion. I want you to think about that. See, I want you to understand why cosmogonies play an important role. Philosophies of morals, how we see the world, are shaped by these stories and cosmogonies. Man shall have dominion. What does the word dominion mean? It's the root word for dominate. What is my dominion? I am like the king. I own everything around me. Everything around me is what purpose? Serve my needs. Everything around me is natural resources. I want you to compare those two worldviews. If you're wondering why the hell we're in this situation right now with supposed global warming, I would quickly say a lot of it has to do with this idea The ocean is meant to use as you wish. The streams, use them as you wish. If you have to pollute them for some cash, so be it. Gee, we have some radioactive material. What the hell are we going to do with this? Let's dump it in the Pacific. In fact, we're in this situation today because of these so-called holy scientists. Because of that mentality. I want you guys to remember. When they talk about science as if science is glorious, yeah, it does some good stuff. Science is like mathematics. It's not good or bad. It's a process. It's principles. It's the scientists you got to watch out for. The scientists who use science for what benefit? Whose benefit? The root of all evil, as they say. So when you talk about Hawaiians fighting science, we're not fighting science. How can we fight against your own culture? It's ridiculous. But the hell we're fighting against bad science, that's for sure. Because that same mentality is running amok and rampant upon this planet and is destroying not just this planet, but destroying us as human beings. And not just as human beings, but as all life forms on this planet. Now at the end of the first chapter, there's 16, but we're not going to do all 16, just to kind of let you know. Just to make my point. At the end of the first chapter, O ke kane hua vai a kua kena o kalina ka vai o uluai o ka huli ho ka wo honua. O ke kane hua vai a kua kena. Ke kane, the male. The male is being compared to a huevai, or a water gourd. Again, this is poetry. A male is like a water gourd. Well, what does a water gourd look like? Anybody? What does a water gourd look like? Yeah, some are real round. Come in different shapes and sizes, right? But many are very, ooh, yeah. Yes, it's a phallic symbol. Male, compared to this water gourd, Akua Kena, that is God. What do you mean the water god is God? Or the water gourd is God? What get in the water gourd? Now, as I was sharing with my students, I was taught this. If I had a seed right here, and I put the seed right here, what's going to happen? Huh? Nothing. I take this water gourd, and I pour a little bit of what's in that water gourd, a vai, on that seed, what happens? That's God. In Hawaiian, what do you mean by that's God? That creation of life, you want to call it chemical, whatever you want to describe, what Hawaiians are trying to say, that, whatever brings life, that is divine, that is godly. This is how they're trying to explain. What is God? That is God. And that's why water, and we have this saying, oh, like kawai, life from water. Water gives us life. Water gives us life. That's like God. That is sacred. See, they talk, oh, Mauna Kea, is it sacred? I don't know if it's sacred. Now, in Hawaiian thinking, it's real simple. That which gives you life is sacred. Hollywood would say, the Twin Towers, that's sacred. Okay, that's one good story. Right? I understand the history. Okay. But in Hawaiian thinking, if I would ask, how does it give me life, you see? Those spaces and places that provide life, in Hawaiian sense, that's the fundamentals of why something is sacred. Ola i kawai. Sorry, scientists are out on Mars. What they looking for on Mars? How come? Water says, had life over there. Common sense. Real basics. Mauna Kea, Lake Waiau, 14,000 feet high. Highest mountain in the whole Pacific. Highest watershed. Highest freshwater lake. Chief, I wonder if it's sacred or not. I mean, it's so common sense, it's hard to believe that people cannot understand that. But see, I know people's minds are tainted and deformed because of that greed. And their consultants will say, well, we're not really sure what kind of water source is up there. We don't know, the snow melt, da-da-da. Maybe. Wait. Let's go see how you take care of places like Detroit. Let's go see what you do to your own river systems over there. And you're going to tell us about water? I look in your Beverly's, man, I can smell it from here. It stinks. And you're going to tell me what I should wear? See, my thing is, it's so fundamental. If those guys took care of their water, maybe I might understand. But they have a long history of poisoning their waters, destroying their waters, but they don't even swim in their waters. I mean, how many of you have been across the United States? You saw some of the streams and lakes. I remember the first time I went to Los Angeles, one of the beaches out there. Hey, we'll jump in the water, Huntington Beach, whatever. Oh, what the hell is this? Had one watermelon rind. I'm not going to forget. I was like, what the hell? All this rubbish in the beach. Oh my gosh. And we supposed to turn to them, trust them, believe in them. What kind of fools are we? See, for me, it's so common sense. They like portray themselves supposedly as those in the know. All I gotta look at how they treat the land and water, and I would be totally foolish to trust them, knowing better than us. So our people always knew areas of water, the watersheds were always sacred. The old people would tell me when they were young, they would never go upstream for go swim. They get beaten. In Hawaii we call it wawa. Why? Because everybody drank the water. Who wants to drink the water where people say swimming in the streams up there? They couldn't even take their dogs up to the Mauka areas. Because water was sacred for life. Fundamentals. The Kumulipo teaches us so. And at the end of the first war, Pono. Tis Po, the time of the gods. But if you listen carefully to that sound, Po, everybody, Pono. Pono, oh yeah. What does Pono mean? Righteous, everything is good, everything is how it's supposed to be in balance. Pono. In the second wall, we have the swimmers. In the third wall, we have the flyers. In the fourth wall, we get the egg layers, the creepers, the crawlers. And I go to stop with this one, quick one. One of the interesting creatures, in fact, is the honu, the turtle. And the honu is an interesting creature. If you like see a honu, where you go see the honu? The beach? Good. How come? Good. So where they live? In the ocean, but they come upon the land. See, our kupuna knew there's a time in ancient history when the creatures of the sea came upon the land. And the honu represents this creature. But the honu is a very interesting creature, the honu and the honu air. Right? We know Mama Honu will come out of the ocean, ho'olua, dig her hole, lay her eggs. Then I don't know how many days later. What happens with those hua? They crank out, and where they go? How they know? They read a book. Was there a sign? How they know to go to the ocean? What the hell is instinct? What is that? What is instinct? So I want you to think. So I say one of the reasons we Kanaka in trouble today, just like that Honu, what happened to the Honu who follow the instinct? They die. They in trouble. The ones that follow the instinct, they get high chance of survival. Where does it come from? See that Hawaiian, that's mana. This mana has been from the very beginning, from the start, this has come down. You want to call it intelligence, you kind of want to call it instinct, whatever it is that they carry. The instinct tells them survival means you live in a particular way or you die. See, I would submit much of what's going on in the Hawaiian community is because we're not following that instinct. See, even things like aloha are instinctive for our people. Let me ask you, how you know you did good? Thinking like on Hawaiian. How would Hawaiian know they did good? Where you feel? Well, tell me well. In your na'au, right here. Right here. You fall in love? Well, you gotta watch out love sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody get divorced, I don't know. How about when you do something wrong? You get headache. See, when Hawaiians say our kupuna speaks to us, there's nothing fancy. They're speaking to you through instinct. How you know you're supposed to do something? Follow your instinct. See, you know when you do, oh, bother you. See? Just like that Honu. Even when they tell you up here, right or wrong, you Kanaka, better do this, you gotta do this, gotta do this. And you do them and they go, oh, no feel right. Just like that Honu. So I'm trying to say, we gotta understand this memory, this idea, this instinct is important that we understand in the Holy Road College of epistemology, how we know what we know. This. But it's real simple. Our kupuna do speak to us physically, right here. They tell us right or wrong. Just like that Honu. Pono. The fifth wa, you have this dog-like creature. Sixth wa, you have the rat. Seventh wa, you have the, pig. Pig, rat, and then the dog. At the end of each wa, everybody, Pono. Everything is balanced and good. Now in the eighth wa, the first human is born. And her name is La'i. But when I say first human, we got to think in a Hawaiian sense. They're not talking about the first physical, like the missing link. You know, they get this thing about, in Hollywood, they're looking for the one motel, and they get this. In the Hawaiian, they're not even looking at the physical. What they're looking for is this consciousness piece. That at some point in this history, something about our nature, we became awake and aware. We woke up. And this is what makes us different than the so-called creatures before us in its evolutionary sense. Now it gets more complicated. See, the first female, her name is La'i. And as our kupuna tells the story, like David Malo, from the heavens above, heavens above, Keli, Vahilani, the Ali who rips open the sky, he looks down and he goes, ooh, that's a nice looking creature. And he descends from the heavens and he mates with La'i, and they produce children. The first child, his name is Ki'i. And he's a Kanaka, he's human. The word Ki'i is the same as Tiki in Polynesian. So the first child is named Image. What the hell are you going to name your kid Image? Why Image, you think? It's a real common story you find all ancient peoples. Why is the first child named Image? Image of whom? Yeah, you see? and he's human. The second child, his name is Kane, the god Kane. But Kane means man, and he's a god. Wait, the first child is image, and he's a man. The second child is named man, and he's a god. What the hell's going on here? And the next child is Kanaloa, and so forth. But see, again, our people recognize there's something about this question of what is a human or Kanaka and what is an Akua. Now let me also say, when La'ilai comes about, they don't say pono anymore. Wow, his light, enlightenment. What is the lesson here? We're not perfect. See, something, a kupuna telling us, in a philosophical sense, something about our nature. When we come upon this earth, we have these awesome powers, just like gods. Are we human? Or some of us think we gods. Think about what other creature out there can do what we do. What creature says, I'm going to divert this whole stream and send it over there? What creature says, I got all this radioactive material, why don't I just dump it in the ocean? What creature has created enough nuclear weaponry to blow up this earth hundreds of times over? Humans. The awesome power, just like gods. But that's an arrogance that we have, you see. And to me, I always say our kupuna left us with this story. Because it's important for us to understand, just like today, just because you can do something, you should think twice about whether you should do something. Because we are the latest chapter in this life forms. They come here. We're the youngest. And all creatures, all biota, including everything around us, the planet itself, through the stars, through the creation of everything, are all ancestral. We have familiar relationships with everything around us. Now, is that scientifically true? Yes. This is all stardust. So when Hawaiians say our stars are our kupuna, this is not a bunch of heebie-jeebie kind of stuff. This is scientific stuff. When we say that trees are related to us, this is not, let me ask you guys, a banana. How much DNA does a human being share with a banana? Well, not 90, but that's a good guess. Anybody? Yes, we relate to bananas, if you never realized that. We all descend from a common ancestor. I'm telling you science. About 72, 73%. Think about that. I don't know, Chiquita might be different, GMO Chiquita. But think about that. A banana and a human being have 72 to 73% genetic. Means we come from the same ancestors. Back to the earliest life form in the ocean. Back to the stars. Our kupuna understood this. I would suggest part of the sickness of this world, it doesn't understand this. So when we say we have a familiar relationship with everything around us, this is scientific fact. And I think this is probably what our earth really needs right now, is a little bit understanding that we are just the youngest siblings in this family. And we got some issues. We got some issues because even the Kumulipo told us. We might think we gods, we may think we all powerful and can do whatever we like, but in reality, we're just the youngest in this whole family. So we should be aware. And that's just one story. Now, unfortunately, for most of our people, these are the kinds of philosophies that have been destroyed through miseducation. through deculturation, through the process of incarceration of our minds. And all we got to understand, another part that I also teach is what I call Hawaiian conscientism. Has to do with this idea of conscientism, which I borrowed from various philosophers and thinkers. One was Kwame Nkrumah, you might be familiar, who comes with they call conscientism, a philosophy and ideologies of African liberation. Habermas and people like, how many of you guys know Stephen Biko? Yeah, Stephen Biko, the great South African leader. He writes a book, my favorite book when I was going to college, called I Write What I Like. And he has a chapter about what's called Black consciousness, about the power of the mind, consciousness. In fact, Biko is one of those important. He was so dangerous to the apartheid system. Unlike Mandela, who was locked up for 20-somewhat years, Biko was sent to prison, and of course they said he hanged himself. But of course he was killed. Why? Because he was so dangerous in regards to waking up the young people to reject that mentality of apartheid. But for me, the lesson is that the struggle, as my good friend Kwai Puna Prejean used to say, don't worry about the chains on your legs, worry about the chains on your brains. That's where the real struggle is all about. Because part of the miseducation, of course, is about our minds. I remember I tell this one story. I went off to do a talk in Washington, some fancy-dancy liberal arts, expensive college. I walk on stage. It was being sponsored by this Hawaiian group, kind of big, size audience. And I come out and I say, "Who discovered Hawaii?" Oh, this young, good-looking Hawaiian guy stand up in the middle. "Captain Cook, 1778. And I tell him, "What high school you in?" What do you think he said? "Kapalama Kamehameha." And I said, "Brother, you must be highly intelligent, but you have been miseducated. That you cannot even see your own history. Understand your own self, that somehow we were like the rocks and trees waiting to be discovered by Captain Cook. That we had new humanity. Now that is, again, the point is, this guy is highly intelligent. Intelligence has nothing to do with being miseducated. We got to understand, this was something that was purposely done to our people. And when you read some of the young researchers that are going on out there, which have flipped the whole narrative, which at one time was, this is, Kaleikoa, you guys lucky the Americans took you guys over. You might be speaking a foreign language. Get that shit out. And then when you understand our own history, way more complicated. In 1839, well, of course, 1810, Hawaiian Kingdom. 1839, Declaration of Rights. 1840, the first Hawaiian Constitution, written in Lahaina, Maui. Just put that out there. Under one Milo tree, right in Moku'ula. Where, as Brother Donovan shared, here's the sovereign king, Kau'i Keaoli, who's going to privatize land in that process. And he gives land out to the government, 1/3 interest, vested rights, 1/3 to the ali'i, and 1/3 to whom? The Aina, so-called Maka'ainana, are given a 1/3 interest. In which lands? Which lands? All lands. I want you guys to understand this. Here's the sovereign king, and he's going to give. He is the owner, controller of all these lands, and he's going to give the common people an interest in all lands. They did that in England. They did that in England, France, Germany, Russia. 1840, the first Hawaiian Constitution, signed by Kekauanohi, a female. That's right. We don't have, weird kind of things about perhaps females can or cannot be part of leading the government politically. This is 1840. Kekauanohi signs the Hawaiian Kingdom Constitution. Female in Hawaii. It also says, and I don't have the exact quote in my brain, that all men are created equal, all bloods. In the Hawaiian Constitution, who was equal? Everybody. Slavery was banned. Now you want to compare it to the United States in 1840? Huh? You think they brought equality to us? That's foolishness. 1840, slavery was still going strong. They just began the genocidal campaigns against American Indians. Just getting into the so-called plains. In fact, you can look at their own history. You want to go read? Go read. People like George Washington and the amount of slaves he had. In fact, most of the so-called writers of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were wealthy white men with slaves. And people talk about those documents as if it came from God himself. I don't know what God had anything to do with slave owners, but that's a sickness that they have in saying and thinking that way. You can look at Thomas Jefferson. Oh yeah, the great writer himself. Go read Thomas Jefferson and go to Google now. You can go check it out yourself. When under Thomas Jefferson, more Native Americans were murdered and killed than any U.S. president. In fact, Thomas Jefferson himself says these words, "We shall exterminate them all the way to the Mississippi." What word again? Exterminate. Who does it sound like? And they teach us bad Hitler? Huh? Who the hell you think Thomas Jefferson was? Go read him yourself. And they put him on a $2 bill. That's Thomas Jefferson. Yeah. He had relations with one of his own slaves, Sally Hemings, which he had children with. And some of those children were later sold as slaves. Think about that crazy shit. And you're going to honor Thomas Jefferson as some great humanitarian? See, my point is, that sickness came here. We did not learn equality from them. Equality was taken from us. You want to talk about health care? Let's go talk Queen Emma, Kamehameha IV, who went around not just with their own lands and resources, took change and pennies and coinage from all the commoners to create the first hospital for whom? That's right. We never had universal health care taught to us by the Americans. So you can understand this. And they talk about somehow we should be blessed by what they gave us. They didn't give us crap. It's what they took from us we have to understand. Did we ever discriminate on anybody because of their color? Enslave them? Anybody discriminate because they could not speak a particular language in the courts? No. That's not us. We don't come from that history. See, that's the point we got to remember. That's not us. But boy, oh boy, once you got some plantation owners, and they got high off all that cash they were making off of the sugar plantations, and they wanted to extend the so-called reciprocity treaty with the sugar wealth that they were getting. an important question came up connected to the Bainite Constitution. So the Americans say, oh, yeah, maybe we can take some Hawaiian sugar, but we want something from you Hawaiians. And what do they want? Pearl Harbor. And the wealthy plantation owners, Americans and Europeans, and bankers said, give them Pearl Harbor, including, that's right, Mr. Bishop himself, the husband of Pauahi. And people like Navahi, Joseph Navahi, and other Hawaiian statesmen said, no ways. We give Pearl Harbor, that's it. And this becomes a huge fight. See, nothing has changed. In many ways, we're still over the same struggle. There are those who are here who benefit off of our oppression, off of our lands and resources, who care about fattening their own pockets at our pain and willing to sell out anything. Give them Mauna Kea. And I will share this story. About 7 years ago, I was at an event. One of the astronomers comes up to me, right in my face. He says, you know, Kaleikoa, Mauna Kea belongs to the world. And I looked at him and I said, wow, you see your sickness. You think you speak for the world. That's a sickness you carry. You actually think you speak for the world. And again, this is right over his head. Because he actually thinks that, you see. And I asked him, I said, and who gave Mauna Kea to the world? And I turned to him and I said, how long have you been here? 5 years. It's the same sickness we fight right now. There are those who benefit off of our oppression. Those who benefit off of our people remaining ignorant. So ignorance isn't something that's necessarily bad. Ignorance means you can fix, you see, through education. Who are then miseducated, decultured in a way. Most of our people have been taught through the educational system. And I'm talking Department of Education. Not just ban our language, but to hate everything about who we are as a people. In the Americanization, coercive assimilation, indoctrination, whatever word you want to be put in there, brainwashing, bamboozled, to be discussing anything to do with the truth of being Kanaka, and pretend somehow we should be blessed and lucky to be taught that all the so-called benefits that have been brought to us are good for us. So you got to understand, this was purposely done. If you look at the Hawaiian Kingdom period, in one generation, and I'm talking one generation, we went from barely anyone being able to read and write to becoming, if not the, one of the most literate societies in the world. Over 100 newspapers didn't just read our own history and stories, Kamakamahi'ai, Kamapua'a, Hiake Kapoli Opele, and so forth. But when you look at what they were reading in Hawaiian, how many of you guys know that even Hamlet was translated into Hawaiian? 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Ivanhoe, and whatever other great so-called classics our people read. You like read about the Civil War of America? You like read about the Sino-Japanese War? You want all those things were read by our people. We have always been educated people. But once we lost control of our educational system, we were taught to look at education as something not Hawaiian. And in fact, I was telling the story about me and Keanu, when I would go into the schools, and I would talk, Kumu, reading right, that's all the howling stuff. Oh yeah? Man, they got you good. You doing exactly and being exactly what they wanted. See, the point is, once we take control of our education, once we lose the fear, I don't give a rip what they think about my education in Washington, D.C., because I know what their education is about. Somehow thinking that they got something that I need, I'm a fool. Once I understand my own history, once I understand our own history, to think it was my ancestors, our ancestors, who sailed across the Pacific at a time when even Europeans themselves were still living in caves. We knew the earth was round. To come to the most remote spot on the planet, right here, and produce a society. You think we had plenty homeless back in the old Kanaka days? People starving. You know when Captain Cook arrived in 1778 on his ship, or two ships, we get taught the idea that the Hawaiians turn to them and say, wow, look at all the stuff they get. Yeah, they had some metal and stuff. That was cool. When you read their accounts of what they saw in Hawaii, they never saw a place as guarded with the amount of food, with people of all ages and the health. They never saw more healthy people. In fact, they never saw more clean people too. And they called us the savages. What was the average height of Captain Cook's men? Anybody know? Even lower. 5'2". Rickets, scurvy, no more teeth, smelly. And they called, in fact, many of them never took a bath. And they call us the savages. You want to compare in 1778? What was London like in 1778? Huh? They had open sewers running in the street. People starving. You think they cared for people in the street? Children will be left homeless, dying in the streets. And they call us the savages? See, once you learn to look at history in this way, you realize you want to measure humanity? We are the savages? I don't think so. We have a lot to look at. When you understand even the kind of research that's going on today by many of the scholars, and you look at the food production that was going on in these islands, and not just the wetland productions you can look at. I mean, that's amazing. But you look at the Kohala Coast, the corn fields into Ka'u, where thousands and thousands of people were fed. You think we learn organic farming from people today? That's part of this. We develop much of that kind of ideas. This is part of our nature. You think we learn aquaculture from people on the outside? Fish pond started here, in fact, on Maui, Lehula. We come, as the great Uncle Eddie would also say, liwi kapa'akai. Liwi kapa'akai. What that means is everything is salted. And he used to say, the idea like, we're so blessed. See, we got taught to believe, wow, Hawaiians, we lost all this stuff, man. We no more this, we no more that. And he used to say, no. You can still go up to the valleys and see the old terraces. You can still see the fish ponds, the south side of Molokai. It's just that we've been trained to somehow think we've lost more and not realize, oh my goodness, look at what we got. You got millions of pages of Hawaiian language newspapers and resources still here. It's a matter of us guys looking. And like the word li'uikapaka, it's salted with, and you say it's like fish. Yeah, you dry the fish. Our kupunan dry the fish for us. Because sometimes in the future, you take that dried fish, you kind of wash out the salt, and you can eat them. This has been prepared for us, laid for us, given to us. And it's just a matter of us going back. But we got to also understand, even you look at history. When Captain Cook comes in 1778, and they used to say, with Captain King's approximation of population, they used to say 400,000 Kanaka. Today, most demographers and historians say easily 800,000 in these islands. Where you can go look, how many of you have been to the Napali coast? You can go Nulolokai, Nulolo Aina, Miloli. In the back of the valleys, and the Napali coast was planted. You can go Kahakulua Valley. Every valley was planted to the back. Now, you're not going to plant all this food just because you like working and planting food. Somebody's eating all this food. In fact, they get estimates. Even like South Kohala, they get areas that they said easily could feed 40,000 people in some of those areas. In some areas. By 1827, the estimate was 187,000 Hawaiians. I want you to think now, from 1778, 800,000. By 1827, 187,000. By 1850 was down to 80,000. From 1850 to 1890 was down to 40,000. So from 1778, about 800,000 to 1890, 40,000. That's a 95% depopulation rate. That means all of us right here, if this is the population of 1778, this is all that's left in 1890. Right there. That's it. So one of the things I always tell young Hawaiians to remember, our lives are not cheap. All you Hawaiians, that's all we come from, right there. That's all we come from right there. And from that, we blooming again, restoring ourselves again. Yeah, we lost plenty. But if you look good, man, we got so much. We've been missionized, commercialized, militarized, removed off our own lands, miseducated, indoctrinated. And the good news, we're still here, we still fight back. And I always say, if that's the best they get, we already got them licked. Everything is in front of us. All the research and history that's coming out, I mean, it's amazing. When I listen to these scholars that come out now, I am just amazed. And more is coming out to reveal all that we have, all that you, but we got to be brave enough, you see. We cannot be afraid. We got to be hungry enough to want to learn, to educate ourselves, to speak out, to fight for this land, to let the water flow, to determine for ourselves. You think I'm going to sit back and look at places like Haleakala or Mauna Kea? Mauna Kea, lands that belong to whom? Our people. Right? They thought, oh, you know, too bad you stole all the Hawaiian lands. They never stole any land. They stole your mind. The mountain is still there. The river's still there. The beach is still there. The reefs are still there. All that's been taken was your mind to somehow believe it was taken. See, but once you flip your mind and realize, oh yeah, that is ours. That is ours. And as I teach you, simple. No treaty. Although they try to tell us, even to this day, they're still pretending. And this is the thing you realize, this kind of sickness of they lie so much, they gotta keep on lying. And I remember, one court case with the Molokai fishermen. Brother Dexter argued a case with my other brother Keanu, understand. Now, in the court system, it is the burden of the prosecution to establish jurisdiction. That's their own laws. They're supposed to say, we have jurisdiction over this person, he's in a blah, 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 blah. But they flip them on the Hawaiians, you see. So the Hawaiian got to come and prove that they don't. which is a total kind of, goes against what their own laws actually say. But even when they go there, they produce all the original documents, without a doubt. And you're watching this go, whoa. And they ask the prosecution, where's your expert witness to challenge any of this? Of course, the prosecution like, how the hell are you going to challenge facts? And you're watching this. And the prosecution just, and you say, okay, we want the court to take judicial notice. Which means we want the court to say, these are facts. Irrefutable facts. And the court goes, oh, yeah. The court acknowledges and says, yeah, these are facts. And then the judge goes, well, if these are facts, that means that I don't really have jurisdiction here. And I think that's a political question. So let's basically pretend that that's not really, I mean, you watch this thing go down, and you quickly realize their whole system is a lie, corrupt. They talk about rule of law. You want to play rule of law? Mauna Kea Access Road. That's a DOT road. Really? Where's the paper? It's not DOT. That's actually Hawaiian homelands. They say it is. HRS says a DOT road has to be on DOT land. But where's the paper? You see, the thing is, they lie so much, they have to continue that lie. That's what you realize. That's why education is important. That's why it's important to continue to tell and educate and share. Because we're not here just to make up stories. We're here to implant within everybody here that desire for truth, that desire for justice and equality for all peoples. And that's really what this whole thing is about, real simply. And when you give it the truth, you only get two choices. Either you do something with it, or you ignore it. And that's your choice. But you cannot say, I never know. That kuleana has been given. And you have to decide what you're going to do with that. What is your integrity as a human being? What is your integrity to truth and justice? That's the question we all have to ask ourselves. Because it's real simple to pretend, get a bottle of wine, watch some, I don't know, TV land or whatever, and drown yourself in the illusions of something. But the more powerful and more important struggle is to take that and have that hunger and desire, like Uncle Eddie said, wash it off. Use it to today. Listen and learn. Read and share. Because in the end, I'm a big believer. And some people, I'm a big believer. Just like the Kumulipo. That is something for the world. I believe that. That is something that can heal this whole world. What kind of audacity that I should talk about Hawaiians? Yeah, going worldwide. I believe. It's the same audacity when Timoteo Ha'alilio, under the direction of Kauhi Kiaoli, on these little islands in the Pacific, travels through the United States, off to Europe, to meet with the most powerful countries in the world, Great Britain and France, play those guys off each other, and have Hawaii recognized as a sovereign and independent nation state. What kind of audacity is that? The same one where first Kupuna jumped in the first canoe. That's that same audacity. Who said, yeah, we can sail across. We don't come from people that are afraid. We never did. We came from those who said, can. I'm going to get on that canoe. I'm going to come to this land. I'm going to build a place unlike seen anywhere else in this world. That's the people we come from. We are the people, when Lili'uokalani was faced who we come from. So for me, it's not a matter if we can or cannot. I know we can. Because I know where we come from. From the stars itself. Whatever the divine that comes out in all of us, that's the same thing we got now. And so the journey is ours. That choice is ours. That kuleana is ours. And I really believe that. Aloha Aina, world order. Aloha.
Kaleikoa Ka'eo. Okay, we're not gonna let him get away that easy. Any questions? Anybody got questions? Oh, you did good, bro. You did good. No questions. Okay. Tomorrow we're gonna start registration at 8 o'clock, and we're gonna begin the program at 9. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you tomorrow morning. You know, and no need to make excuse that, oh, you have to go do this, this, and this.